Okay, when you first look at the Blackboard site, at the top link, you're going to see a welcome from me, your instructor, Dr. King Sears, and an overview of the course. Then you've got a tab that has the course content, the course orientation, and actually that has a lot to do with netiquette. If you're not familiar with netiquette, first thing you see is a definition. Netiquette is rules about the proper and polite way to communicate with other people when you're using the internet. Refers to etiquette on the internet. And actually what I've got is several videos for you to view. You can choose what you'd like. I've also got some handouts on netiquette, so those will be informative for you to know as you're going into using a lot of netiquette in this course. So that's in the course orientation. Then you've got the syllabus. Any announcements are usually emails that are sent out to you and then appear as announcements. And then the course is organized, as you saw earlier, under modules 1, 2, and 3. Now, under each of these, you see you've got what? Weeks 1, 2, and 3, weeks 4, 5, 6, 7, and weeks 8 and 9. This is modules 1, 2, and 3. This aligns with the course map you saw earlier. So if we look under Module 1 on observable behaviors and functional behavior assessment, I'm going to click these closed a little bit. What you actually see is that the first week, welcome and course orientation, second week, observable behaviors, and third week on functional behavior assessments, or what you hear us call FBA. So I'm going to click a little bit under week 2. And if I click over here, what you see going down the page are the different items or activities under week 2. Let's click over here for week 2 and you will see those same items and activities. And actually the first thing that you'll see is, okay, what are our week 2 learning objectives? The week 2 learning objectives are these that you see here, distinguishing between descriptions of kids' behaviors of concern that are observable versus not observable. Then, when given a child's behavior to describe, write the description in a way that a stranger could understand it. Or, given a non-observable behavior, refine it so that the description is observable and is clear for a stranger to see. Those are all learning objectives that will be accomplished in week 2. One of the first things you'll do is read chapter 3 from Alberto and Troutman text about how children's behaviors are described, either in general terms or phrases, and ways to more clearly describe the behaviors in ways so a stranger can know what is meant. What you'll do after reading the chapter is write a summary of your major learning from this chapter. Do that around 300 words maximum. You'll submit it to discussion 1, and that's due March 4th. And you'll see over here, as we come under communication tools, if we look under discussions, you'll see that discussion 1, summary of chapter 3. So things are going back and forth here, but they're all orienting with what you're supposed to be doing for each week and for each part of each week. The second one is on 2.2 is to view a web page on observable behaviors. You see the web page right there. And although there are 4 parts on the web page, you'll look at the top 2 where there are operationalizations of behavior and then classifications of verbs as observable or not. And that's your learning experience is from those, reading those, similar to your learning experience from reading chapter 3. Then what you need to do as an assignment, as an activity, and again, that's due March 4th, the same time that the Chapter 3 summary is due, is to find an animated figure from the internet. Post that animated figure into discussion 2. Now again, you'll come over here to discussions, and you'll find discussion 2 with that same information. Write the observable behavior from that animation that a stranger will see. So those two are due on March 4th. And then under week 2, activity 3, you have a 5-minute video of a teacher instructing students. And there's the link right there. I'm going to tell you right off. For now, ignore the teachers, appropriate, and you will see some inappropriate teacher behaviors. Just ignore the teacher for now. Now, I don't mean that to be in this course. I mean it to be when you're watching this video. I want you to focus on the students' behaviors. Pause the video as needed so you have time to write down at least 5 observable behaviors for each of these categories. The first category is on-task behaviors. The second category, off-task behaviors. You'll submit your listing to discussion 3.1, observable on and off-task behaviors. That is due March 6th. We go further down, you'll see that we're going further with that same task. Select 3 of your peers' listing of on and off task behaviors. When you get to the discussion listing, select peers who don't have any or much feedback, and that's so that each peer acquires feedback. Now, for the 10 behaviors, provide feedback. Use these guides to give your feedback. What has the peer done well for the descriptions? Also ask questions or provide suggestions for any descriptions that could benefit from more clarity. Again, consider yourself the stranger coming into the classroom who would need clearer words to know exactly what the behavior looked like. Now, this is due 2 days after people have posted on the discussion. So you'll go back into that same discussion to post about peers. And then you'll go back to your original posting on those 10 on and off task behaviors, make any revisions if needed, and if it's easier, submit an updated table for the revisions made to the original table. So it's this table content that will be reviewed by me for the formative assessment. So you've got some practice, some feedback from peers, and then you make any revisions. That is due 2 days later, March 10th. And then there's another formative assessment. This will be in the test section where you'll see a listing of 8 children's behaviors. I'm not going to read all of this to you now, but you're getting the gist of what you see under each week. You've got explicit instructions. You're told where to submit your responses, and you're told the due date for each one. And the very last one is a case study. And I will actually be putting you into small groups. You will be grouped with 2 peers. The case study that you'll independently read, it's at the end of Chapter 3 in the Alberto and Troutman text. I'll give you the page numbers as we get closer to that. And then you'll follow these directions here. And again, you'll be posting exactly as directed into the discussion 2.7. And you'll find that over here under discussions. And this will be a formative assessment score from the group, and that is due March 15th. So that's a more in-depth look at week 2. I'm going to close out weeks 1 and 3 here, where you've got all of these different activities that are taking you to accomplishing these learning objectives that are stated at the very beginning. Now, if we look over here, we see we looked at modules 1, 2, and 3. Another thing I want to point out is that for all of the assignments in the course, you have rubrics and templates and resources under each assignment direction here. Let me just show one of them to you for the functional behavior assessment. You have the grading rubric, and you have a template, and then resources that you need are below that. And that will be the same for the classroom management plan as well as for the behavior intervention plan. So if we pull up on the assignments and look further down, then you see assessments. This is where you will submit the functional behavior assessment. You will submit the behavior intervention plan, and then you will submit the classroom management plan in these areas. So these are the summative assessments. Down here, you've got discussions. I've already pointed to those. When I have office hours, I mentioned this earlier, we can use in person or we can use Blackboard Collaborate, which is actually in person as well. It's just not right next to each other in person. If you want to know about your grades, they'll be posted here. And then other resources are indicated at the bottom of this left column. So at this point, what I've done is gone over the Blackboard site for you and described one of the lessons in more in depth, and that came from Module 1.